Greetings, Venus Bulldogs. On behalf of your district librarian, Mrs. Roberts, I'm here to read another Reading Pig book. And this Reading Pig book was written by a librarian, and her name was Candy Clinkingbeard. And she wrote this book because she's been a librarian all her career and knows the importance of going to the library, using the library. So I'm going to read, and I have my special guest. The Reading Pig is right here, and we're going to read The Reading Pig Goes to the Library. Hi, my name is Cole. I want to tell you about my school library. The kids in my class love our library day. We can learn in so many ways there. There are computers, shelves of books, and neat, colorful rows, and posters on the wall. But most of all, there is our librarian. Mrs. C is the best. I think she's part librarian, part history teacher, and part mad scientist. When we go to the library, we bring the Reading Pig. We use the Reading Pig when we are in a reading circle. The Reading Pig is squishy and has a funny nose. We pass him to each other every time the librarian turns the page. The Reading Pig makes us feel comfortable. The first thing you notice in our library is a giant inflatable Tyrannosaurus Rex and a Brontosaurus that seem like they are alive. There are fossils, crystals, and even a bug collection. I asked Mrs. C if I could have my birthday party there, and that made her smile. But the best part about the library is the humongous cage that holds a real, live snake. It makes me shiver. That day, the day Mrs. C taught us a snake lesson, was the best day ever. We learned that some snakes have venom, but most snakes do not. Mrs. C read us a book about snakes. She said the book was non-fiction, and that meant the things we read about were true. When it was my turn to hold the Reading Pig, I pretended he was a venomous snake. I tried to make him bite Marcy Allen. She was annoyed. Mrs. C made me pass the Reading Pig to Marcy. I think Mrs. C was annoyed too. When we finished the book, Mrs. C had a surprise for us. She took the snake out of his cage. Marcy Allen screamed out loud, which is not following the rules of the library. But I wanted to scream a little too. We were scared. Mrs. C told us the snake did not have venom. He liked to wrap himself around Mrs. C's arms. Once he wrapped himself around her head. We thought that was hilarious. After the lesson, it was time to check out books. So Mrs. C put the snake back in his cage. All the students hurried to the non-fiction section so they could check out snake books. I noticed that Mrs. C had not put the lock back on the snake cage. I looked at the snake's wiggling, scaly skin. I wondered what it felt like. I was curious. While the rest of the class looked for books, I quietly slid open the door to the snake cage. I was sneaky. I reached in, I touched the back of the snake. It wasn't slimy. It was cool and dry. I was astounded. Mrs. C asked everyone to come check out their books. I snatched my hand out of the cage and ran over to the snake books. They were almost gone. I was sad, but Mrs. C helped me find a good one. I felt satisfied. As I took my book to the checkout desk, Marcy Allen screamed loud and long. She was terrified. Then I saw what Marcy saw. The snake was slithering out of the open door of his cage. All my friends must have forgotten that the snake was not venomous because they were screaming and running for the library door. They were frightened. The snake was heading right towards the reading pig. Oh no! Do snakes eat pigs? I didn't know. I was worried. I ran toward the reading pig to rescue him from the snake. Mrs. C told me to stop. She said she would get the snake. She picked up the snake, put him back in the cage. She wondered why the door is open. She was baffled. I was very quiet. Mrs. C gave the signal to quiet down the class. She said the snake wouldn't hurt anyone. They felt relieved. Then a funny thing happened. Mrs. C told the whole class that I was trying to protect the class from the snake. I told them I was just trying to rescue the reading pig. Then they clapped for me anyway. I felt brave. When my teacher came to take us back to class, everyone told her what happened. I got to carry the reading pig back to class. It was the best day ever. I felt proud. The end. And Bulldogs, from the Reading Pig and Dr. C, keep reading and keep writing.